Yes, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. This is your latest Arsenal news and transfer news as well. Everton have agreed to sell Amadou Onana. The 777 partners, who are the new investors at the club, have told Everton, you have to sell Amadou Onana. There is interest in this January transfer window. You've got to sell him in order to get some money for Sean Dyche to spend, but also to lessen the burden on FFP and the crisis. So Everton will be selling Amadou Onana. That is done. We are going to be talking about the price that has been set. We're going to be talking about why Amadou Onana is not going to be an Everton player come February, and what are Arsenal doing at the moment. According to Fabrizio Romano, there are talks and negotiations between Arsenal, within Arsenal, to make sure that we can get our financial fair play, position right, so that we can actually get a bid running for Amadou Onana. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as well. Arsenal, they're in the pipeline working on this deal, but Everton have just agreed. We don't have the resolve to turn down money this January. If someone is coming in with a good offer for Amadou Onana, we are actually going to be selling right there. So let's get this video to 300 likes, and of course your comments and your thoughts in the comment box below. Now the story comes in this evening, and it says the 7-7 partners have told Everton that they have to sell in order to buy. Sean Dyche has already asked for a couple of signings. Of course, he deserves signings. He deserves new players. Everton want to make some signings. The manager is really working around the clock as well to make sure that he can get around 1 or 2 players in just to survive relegation, but also to make sure that he can improve the squad. And of course, that means that if Amadou Onana is going to be sold, Sean Dyche will need a better or even a quicker replacement in this January transfer window. Now, the problem at Everton is their financial position. They do have they have been working with losses over the last 3 years, and the Premier League and the FA are not happy with that, and therefore they were slapped with a 10-point deduction this season earlier on. So in order to rectify that, what Everton have to do is to look into their squad and get a player they can get some profit on. So Amadou Onana is one of those players, but of course they have a couple of other players as well. I think James Garner is another player they can sell. He's quite a very, very interesting player. Jordan Pickford is another player they can sell. England's #1. You bet they can get some good money on him. Maybe the likes of Dwight McNeil. Maybe the likes of Dominic Calvert-Lewin. All those players Everton are looking to sell. But the 7-7 partners, the new investors who have just given them about 50 million to work with to help on the running of the club, have actually told them, you've got to sell Amadou Onana. And I think Everton are in a very tight situation, right? They had to agree internally that they either sell a player in January or they risk going against the FA and the financial crisis, which is actually very, very bad. And they've decided that we'll sell Amadou Onana. They've decided that if a club comes in with around 60 million, they will be listening and they will be willing to sell Onana to them. So it's up to Arsenal now. Do we have the money? Are we willing to splash about 60 million this January? Can we negotiate a deal with Everton that works for them? Because the advantage here is Arsenal can pay that money before June the 30th. If we are in a better financial position than Everton are by that time, we can pay that money before June 30th, and we have the player. So this is maybe for the best for Everton, right? I think if you're an Arsenal fan, this is the news you want to hear. This is the story you want to hear. An Everton fan, this is not the story. This is not what they wanted. Amadou Onana is doing very well at the moment, alongside the likes of Ghana, alongside the likes of Idrissa Gana Gueye. He's actually been phenomenal for them, not only this season actually, but also last season as well. He's been one of the real quality players and highest performers at this side. But Sean Dyche is asking for signings. That is #1, and the club can't afford to spend a lot of more money, right? The 7-7 partners have given them a £50 million loan, but that loan is not to buy players. That loan is actually to run the club and work on a couple of other necessities they have at the club. So it means that for them to buy, they are going to need to sell, right? So a player like Amadou Onana, as part of the assets in your squad, as part of the assets, at the club, he was always going to be sold. So Everton, in order to sign, to sign players, in order to make transfers, they have decided that they will be selling Amadou Onana, and there is that agreement internally that Arsenal should be aware of. Now, what are Arsenal doing at the moment? And of course, Fabrizio Romano, they're saying that Arsenal at the moment are internally meeting and they are internally discussing the financial fair play situation before making a bid to Everton, before making an official bid to Everton. It's clear as day. Both clubs have been in contact. I think both clubs are aware of each other's financial position. It's going to be about compromising, right? Are Everton willing to compromise? Because if Arsenal give them 50 million, and that 50 million is going to come before June the 30th, then Everton can actually go and sign a player and also pledge that we will pay before June the 30th when Arsenal actually pay the Amadou Onana story. I think that is kind of easy. But what Arsenal want at the moment, and what we're trying to do, according to Fabrizio, Arsenal don't want to make a mistake in terms of FFP. We have spent about 400 million in the last 4 years, and we've not made any significant income. We've not made any big income on player sales. So it might not be easy, right? Remember, we have only played one campaign in the Champions League, and that is the campaign we are in right now. So it means that Arsenal, and our revenue and our finances, we have not been at the top. We have actually been, mediocre. So that means that Arsenal have to sit internally, discuss, talk about all these deals, and see, are we really ready to bid for Onana? Are we really ready to go 60 million or even 70 million? Now, for me, for Arsenal, this should not take a lot of time. But again, it's going to take a lot of time. It's a precarious situation that we are in. It's between a hard place and a rock. Just imagine us having a 1 billion squad, and then we have a top quality squad next season. We are leading the table. We are leading Manchester City by maybe 7 points, and we get a 10-point deduction. That will be calamity. That will be disastrous. So Arsenal have to be very, very careful, and Arsenal have to be very, very cautious as we approach this situation. And multiple resources are saying that Arsenal are likely to propose a loan plus obligation to buy. That is safer for us, but again, it is not very safe, right? Because if we propose a loan plus obligation to buy, it means that we have done this deal in this financial year. And maybe we will have to pay some money up front or some money in this financial year. And that is where Everton might not actually agree. That's where Arsenal might be in a difficult situation. Because if you're paying part of that money this year, it adds to our financial crisis. If we are not paying part of that money this year, it doesn't help Everton's financial crisis. So it's going to be an interesting adventure. The lawyers and the accountants are going to have now to earn their money. If you are a lawyer at Arsenal and an accountant at Arsenal, you cannot agree to spend a lot of money at the moment before the next year starts, before 2020, before the 2024-2025 financial year begins, right? If you are the accountant at Everton, you can't allow the team to not to earn money before the 30th of June this year. So Everton will be saying, we want this money between now and 30th of June. And the Arsenal accountants will be arguing, we can't do that. We are also in a bad situation. We can start doing that maybe starting the next financial year. I'm going to be very interested in what's going to happen, and I will be reporting whatever comes out of that deal right there. But what Arsenal, for me, can do, and this is why we are not in a very bad situation as we had thought earlier. We can buy Amadou Onana, right? We can buy Amadou Onana, and then we can, as long as we sell some players before this financial year ends, right? So this financial year ends June 30th. If Arsenal can get in some money, like sell Eddie, sell MS Withrow, some of these players that Mikel Arteta doesn't really rate, right? If we can get in some money and sell these players that the manager doesn't rate by that time, it will be over, right? We will have survived, and we will be looking to go and celebrate, right? So that is how that is why I think Arsenal, although we have FFP issues, and although we have to be very careful, unless it is a big problem, Arsenal can actually solve it, and Arsenal will overcome it. All we have to do is make sure that we sell Eddie, who is 100% profit. We sell Emil Smith Rowe, who is another 100% profit, and we can register that, and we will be absolutely fine. Very, very fine. So that is the situation at Arsenal. That is the situation at Everton at the moment. Everton have agreed they will sell Amadou Onana if around 60 million comes in, and the 7-7 partners are saying, you've got to sell this guy. You've got to get out of this financial mess. We have bought you as an enterprise, but of course, you've got to do better than this in terms of finances. So where is this going to end, and how is it going to unfold? This is what I'm thinking. Because now Everton have accepted their financial position, clubs are going to be coming in order to sign Amadou Onana. They're going to be coming in to poach away, some of their, most prized assets. And Arsenal have to act quick. We have to be very quick. If another club comes in for Onana, and they can pay 55 million, and they don't have financial fair play issues like Arsenal, they're more likely to win the deal. If another club comes in, even if they don't sign Amadou Onana, for instance, take Dwight McNeil. If another club comes in and they can pay some good money for Dwight McNeil, and they can also pay some good money for James Garner, right? If Everton can sell any two players or any one player for a significant amount of money, then Amadou Onana is straight up there, not for sale. Straight away, not for sale. They have to wait for the summer. So Arsenal have to act, according to the time limits that we have, but also against time, right? We are fighting against time. If any club comes in, gives Everton some good money for any other players, there is no reason for them to sell Amadou Onana. Remember, they're selling because they are in a financial crisis and they need money. If another player is sold and Everton raise money to bring in some signings, then they will be able to wait until the summer and make some good money on Amadou Onana. So it's a very, very, very interesting situation that this story actually brings. It puts Arsenal under pressure, and it calms the nerves of Everton a little bit. Now, they can't be too relaxed. They can't actually afford to do that. Why they can't be very, very relaxed is, listen, if you factor in all these all these constants, Everton are still 20 days away from finishing this window without selling anyone. That is disastrous. They don't want that. So they will be sitting there, they'll be waiting for offers. I think they have already communicated their decision to clubs that they think might want Onana, right? Maybe Arsenal, Chelsea, and a couple of others, and they have already communicated their decision. We are willing to sell. If you're interested in Amadou Onana, then definitely this is the price tag, and this is when we want the money, and this is the structure that actually works. This is a nice story for us as Arsenal. This is what we wanted to hear, and this is what we hear. In January, I've always said, you're either willing to sell, or you're willing to. You either meet a willing seller, or you meet a player who's willing to join you, right? Brighton never wanted to sell Trossard, but Trossard never wanted to stay there, right? He was known in good relations with the manager there. So what the final resolution? Trossard has to leave. Trossard has to go, and he went. He went to Arsenal. So with Arsenal, we now have the weak spot of Everton. In our negotiations, all we have to do is make sure that whatever we do, it benefits Everton. Everton gets, but we are also not actually overly, pressed, right? It has to be a win-win situation. It has to be a favorable deal. So if I'm the accountants at Arsenal, this is what I would say. We can pay maybe half, right, of the 50 million by June the 30th, and then the other half will be paid in installments across like 2 years. I don't know if that would work for Everton, but it would be a good deal, right? The other thing Arsenal can do is what we're planning to do. Get him on a loan deal, pay his wages off, right? take his wages off the shoulders of Everton, and then promise to pay to buy him on an obligation. Insert an obligation, because if we want him and we have scouted him and we understand his game, then there is no reason as to why we don't insert an we don't insert an obligation. So interesting stuff, and I want to watch the next hours and next days to see how this one is gonna evolve. Won't be surprised if Amadou Onana actually signs for Arsenal like on deadline day. Won't be surprised, but I won't be surprised as well if this became turned into a bidding war, where a couple of clubs are just there trying to snatch him from Everton, who they know have financial fair play issues. But of course, just to round up for you, there is an internal agreement at Everton because the 777 partners, the new investors at the club, have told the club, you've got to make a significant sell. And at the moment, we are looking at Amadou Onana. He's the only significant player you have. He's wanted to earn the market. You've got to sell him in order to buy some players, but also in order to lessen the financial distress at the club right now. And that is where Arsenal are actually coming in, because we're in internal meetings trying to weigh up our options to see how we can bid for Amadou Onana this January.